I proposed to the love of my life, and the next day, I found out she had a whole other family. I, 34M, was ready to spend the rest of my life with her. Her name was Lena. We met 4 years ago at a bookstore. I was awkward, stammering over whether I should buy a novel for a flight, and she leaned in and said, "That one's a waste of $14.99. Trust me." We ended up talking for over an hour. I never took the flight. It felt like fate. The perfect relationship. She was smart, witty, emotionally mature. A bit mysterious, but I liked that. She worked as a freelance interior designer, which meant odd hours, but I respected her hustle. We were happy. Genuinely. Or so I thought. She didn't like social media, no Instagram, no Facebook. I actually appreciated that. She always said, "Real love doesn't need to be posted online." We moved in together after a year. She kept her studio apartment across town, saying it was where she worked when she needed focus. I thought it was quirky but artistic. Looking back, that was red flag number 1. The proposal. I proposed on a Thursday night. Just us, no audience. At home, over her favorite wine and Thai food. She cried. Said yes. Said, "You make me feel safe." I believed her. We talked all night about wedding ideas, where we travel for our honeymoon. She said she had some family stuff to figure out first, and I didn't question it. That was Thursday. On Friday morning, I woke up to an empty bed. And a text. "I need to run to the studio early. Be back by lunch. Love you." She never came back. The discovery. By 3 p.m., I was worried. By 6, panicking. I drove to her studio. I'd never been inside. I didn't even have a key. But I knew the address. It wasn't a studio. It was a house. A modest 2-story home in a quiet residential neighborhood. Kids' bikes on the lawn. A minivan in the driveway. And Lena. Holding hands with a man. Kissing him on the porch. A little girl ran out the door yelling, "Mommy." And Lena, my fiancée, scooped her up and twirled her. I sat in my car, parked 2 houses down, in shock. I didn't confront her. Yet. I drove away. My heart didn't just break, it imploded. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt numb. That night, I didn't sleep. I reread every message we'd ever sent. Looked at every gift she'd ever given me. Tried to find clues. I found nothing. She had crafted a perfect second life. Saturday morning. I texted her. "Are you okay? You never came back yesterday." She replied 2 hours later. "So sorry. Emergency family thing. I'll call you later. I love you." That later never came. Instead, on Sunday morning, I got an email. A long one. The email. She admitted to everything. She had a husband. They were technically separated, but still lived together, for the kid. She said our relationship started as an escape but turned into something real. She said she did love me. That the proposal made her realize how deep she'd gone, and that she couldn't live this lie anymore. She said she was sorry. She also said, "You deserve someone whose life is simple. I'm too broken for you." That was the last time I heard from her. Aftermath. I didn't reply. What could I say? That I'd never trust again. That she stole not just my time, but my sense of reality. I cancelled the venue I'd booked as a surprise. Returned the custom ring I hadn't even paid off yet. Told my friends and family it just didn't work out. Only now, months later, can I even write about it. Why I'm posting this. Because I still dream about her. Because sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd confronted her in person. Because I keep blaming myself for not seeing it sooner, even though I know none of this is my fault. She had 2 full lives. And I was the other one. The worst part. It wasn't the lies. It was the fact that, for a moment, a fleeting, precious moment, I truly believed I'd found my person. I still mourn the version of her that only existed with me. The one who gave me forehead kisses and memorized my coffee order. The one who hummed to herself when she cooked. The one who said, "Let's grow old together." That version never existed. Not really. Maybe this is closure. Or maybe this is just the first time I've said it out loud. Either way, if someone else out there's gone through something like this, you're not alone. And no, it wasn't your fault either. It's been 18 months since Lena disappeared from my life. I didn't expect closure. I stopped looking for it. I moved to a new apartment. Changed gyms. Got rid of everything she ever touched, even the damn coffee grinder she swore was the only thing she'd fight over in a divorce. I started dating again. Nothing serious. Nothing real. I guess I don't know what real even means anymore. But last week, something happened that shook me. Her husband contacted me. The message. It was a short email. Subject, "I think we should talk. My name is Mark. I'm Lena's husband. I believe you were engaged to her. I'm not reaching out to fight. I just want to understand what happened to both of us." I froze. I read it 5 times. Part of me wanted to delete it. Pretend it never showed up. But something in his tone stopped me. It wasn't angry. It wasn't accusatory. It sounded tired. Like someone who'd been living in the same fog I had. The meeting. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our cities. Neutral ground. Public. I recognized him instantly. I'd seen him from my car that awful day, kissing Lena on their porch like they were living some perfect suburban life. He looked different now. Older. Heavier in the eyes. Like grief was something he wore every day. We shook hands. He didn't waste time. "She left," he said. 6 months ago. Took her things, left a letter. Said she couldn't do it anymore. That she'd lied to both of us. Said she needed to find out who she was without men defining her. I haven't seen her since. The truth comes out. We talked for over an hour. Here's what I learned. He didn't know about me. Not really. He'd suspected something, but she was careful. Too careful. They hadn't been happy for a long time. But they stayed together, for the kid, for appearances, for inertia. She had other secrets, too. A credit card in his name. Missed therapy sessions she claimed to attend. Entire weekends, with friends, that don't exist. She was 2 different people, he said. Maybe more than 2. I told him about our relationship. The proposal. The ring. The lies. The house. His daughter. He cried. Not loud. Not messy. Just 2 tears that slid down his cheeks while he stared out the window like someone had just erased his entire history. Why he reached out. "I'm not trying to forgive her," he said. "I just wanted to know if it was real. If anything with her was real." I told him. I think she loved us both. But only as much as she could. Which wasn't enough. He nodded. We sat there for a while. 2 strangers who were never supposed to know each other, united by a ghost. Aftermath. He thanked me. We shook hands again. I don't know if I'll ever see him again. I don't think either of us wants to. But weirdly, I felt lighter afterward. Because for the first time since all of this happened, I stopped wondering. Was I just a side story? Was I the only one who didn't know? Now I know the truth. We both didn't know. We were both living half-lives. Final thoughts. Lena's gone. Not dead, as far as we know. But gone in every way that matters. And now I can finally stop asking why. Some people don't leave closure behind. Just damage. But somehow, in that damage, I found someone else broken in the same shape as me. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's what healing starts to look like. A letter came in the mail. No return address. Just one name on the envelope, Lena. It came on a Tuesday. I almost threw it out. No return address. Just my name and a smudged postmark from 3 states away. But when I turned it over, I recognized the handwriting instantly. Lena. My chest tightened. I sat at the kitchen table for a full 30 minutes before I opened it. My hands were shaking. The envelope held one single page, handwritten, no date. The letter. I don't expect you to read this. I wouldn't blame you if you tore it up without opening it. But if you're reading, thank you. I wanted to say this without asking anything from you. No reply. No forgiveness. Just the truth. What I did to you, to Mark, to our daughter, was cruel. I know that now. I thought I could live 2 lives. I thought I could be 2 people, and neither of them would break. But they did. I broke. I broke us. You were the realest thing I ever had. That's why I ran. You loved me without needing to fix me. And I couldn't stand that. Because if someone sees you as whole, and you still feel empty, it's unbearable. I'm not in rehab. I'm not in some soul-searching retreat. I'm just, trying to live with what I've done. I keep thinking of that night you proposed. How your hands shook, and how I lied through my teeth when I said, yes. But here's the worst part, I meant it. For a moment, I meant it. I hope you're happy. Even if it's not with me. Especially if it's not with me. Lena. I didn't cry. I thought I would. But I didn't. I just sat there, rereading that last line again and again. I meant it. For a moment, I meant it. Some part of me had needed that. Not because it made things okay, it didn't. Not because I wanted her back, I don't. But because it gave that year of my life some kind of shape. It wasn't all a lie. Just broken. I called Mark. I hadn't talked to him since that one coffee months ago, but I sent a photo of the letter and just wrote. She reached out. He replied, 5 minutes later. Same. Almost word for word. We both laughed, bitterly, over text. Same Lena. Always writing the same song to different people. Weeks later. I saw a little girl at a park the other day. Brown curls. About 5, maybe 6. She ran up to her dad screaming, "Daddy, I found a ladybug." He scooped her up. Held her like the world didn't matter. I froze. For just a moment, I wondered, was that him? Was that her daughter? But then I shook the thought away. It didn't matter anymore. Final thoughts. Closure is a strange thing. It doesn't knock. It doesn't come in a bow. Sometimes, it arrives in a crumpled envelope with a lie wrapped in a truth. And sometimes, it's not about her anymore. It's about waking up and realizing, I'm still here. Still standing. Still healing. And maybe, just maybe, I'm finally done bleeding over someone who never deserved my wounds. 3 years have passed since Lena left my life for good. I no longer think about her every day. The nightmares have faded. The constant replaying of conversations, the questioning of reality, the bitterness, it's mostly gone now. I met someone new. Slowly. Carefully. Her name is Claire, and she's patient in ways I didn't think anyone could be. She knows about Lena, not every detail, but enough. She didn't run. That alone still amazes me. We just moved into a new place. Fresh walls. No ghosts. Or so I thought. The unexpected encounter. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Claire and I were walking through a local farmer's market. She'd stopped at a booth with handmade pottery, and I wandered a few steps away to grab coffee. That's when I saw her. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, sitting at a folding table with a plastic lemonade stand. Curly brown hair. Wide eyes. Laughing. Something about her stopped me cold. Then I saw the necklace she was wearing. A delicate silver chain with a small moon pendant. The exact one I gave Lena for our first anniversary. I froze. I stood there for a few seconds too long. The girl noticed me and smiled. Want lemonade? It's cold and not gross. I smiled awkwardly. My heart was racing. Her voice. Her smile. She looked so much like Lena it hurt. I bought a cup. My hands were shaking as I handed her $1. That's a pretty necklace, I said gently. She beamed. Thanks. It was my mom's. She gave it to me when I turned 7. She said it used to bring her luck. My throat tightened. I managed a nod. That's really special. She grinned, handed me my change, and shouted to someone behind her. Mom! That nice man liked your necklace. I didn't turn around. I walked away before she could appear. Claire noticed. When I got back to the pottery booth, Claire looked at me. You okay? I nodded. She didn't press. She never does. But later that night, when we were home and I was quiet, she touched my hand and whispered, was it her? I shook my head. It was, her daughter. I didn't sleep much. That night, I stared at the ceiling for hours. Not because I missed Lena. But because part of my story is still living out there, wearing a necklace I once chose with love. And I realized something painful and beautiful. My love did matter. Even if it went to the wrong person. Some part of it still made it to that little girl. She smiled because of something I gave. She felt proud. Special. Connected. And maybe that's enough. Final thoughts. I don't think I'll ever see them again. I won't try. But that one unexpected moment told me more than any letter, email, or apology ever could. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't just some side story. I was real. And even if that chapter of my life was full of lies, the kindness, the love, the hope, that part was mine. And no one can take that from me. My daughter asked me if I've ever been in love before, Mom. I didn't know what to say. She's 6 now. Her name is Evelyn, and she has her mother's smile, steady, warm, impossible to fake. She also has my eyes, which Claire says is both a blessing and a curse. She's too observant. Too curious. The kind of kid who'll watch 2 adults in silence and then ask you later, why did you hug her like you were sad? She asked me last week, out of nowhere. Daddy, did you love someone before you loved Mommy? I paused. Not because I didn't have an answer. But because I didn't know which version of the truth to give. The box. Years ago, after Lena, I put everything in a shoebox. The necklace receipt, old photos, even the handwritten letter she mailed me. I never threw it out. I told myself I kept it to remember what I survived. But now I wonder if I kept it because some part of me never believed the story was really over. That box still lives at the top of the closet. Claire knows it's there. She's never asked me to throw it away. I love her for that. That night. After Evelyn went to bed, I told Claire what she asked me. She nodded slowly, then said, "What did you want to tell her?" I sat with that for a long time. That once, a long time ago, I loved someone who broke me. But it taught me how to love you better. Claire didn't speak. She just leaned into me and whispered. Then tell her that. One day. When she's ready. One day. Not now. She's too young. But maybe someday, when she's old enough to fall in love and old enough to be hurt by it, I'll tell her. That love isn't always clean. That sometimes people we trust the most are the ones who wound us the deepest. That heartbreak isn't failure, it's just part of becoming who we're meant to be. And maybe I'll say. Before Mommy, I loved someone who taught me what love isn't. And that's how I knew what love should be when I met her. Last night. I took the box down. I sat with it in my lap for almost an hour. Then I stood up, carried it out to the backyard, and set it on fire. It didn't feel dramatic. It didn't feel like revenge. It just felt right. Like I was finally giving something back to the past that no longer belonged in my future. Claire stood with me, holding my hand. Neither of us said a word. The flames danced. The pages curled. And I felt free in a way I never had before. Final words. Lena will never be a villain in my daughter's bedtime stories. She won't even be a chapter. She'll be a quiet lesson, hidden between the lines of how I learned to love the life I have now. Because I did love once, fiercely, stupidly, blindly. And I lost. But now, years later, I'm finally grateful that I did. Because without that loss, I never would have found this. 12 years later, I got a letter from someone I never thought I'd hear from, her daughter. It came on a rainy afternoon, in a plain white envelope. No return address. Handwritten. Inside was a simple note. Hi. My name is Sarah. I think you knew my mom, Lena. I'm 17 now. I found some old letters in a box my dad kept. He didn't want to talk about it. But I had to know. I don't want anything from you. I just want the truth. Who was she, to you? And who were you, to her? The jolt. It hit me harder than I expected. I hadn't heard Lena's name spoken aloud in over a decade. I hadn't thought about her in years, not in a way that hurt. I'd moved on. Married Claire. Evelyn's in middle school now. She's a lot like her mom, careful with her words, but brave when it matters. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with a pen and a blank page. I thought for a long time. Then I started writing. My reply, excerpts. Hi Sarah. Thank you for writing. I wasn't sure I should answer this. But I think you deserve honesty. Your mom and I were together once. For a short while. It was complicated. She was kind, funny, brilliant. And she was in pain. She lied to me. And I think she lied to herself, too. But I don't hate her. Not anymore. We hurt each other. And we both paid for it in different ways. But I want you to know, the part of her that smiled when she talked about you. That part was real. It was the one thing she never faked. She loved you. Deeply. Messily. Humanly. The best way she knew how. I hope you find your own truth about her. Not the version anyone else gives you. Including me. Thank you for reaching out. You didn't have to. But I'm glad you did. Why it mattered. I don't know if she ever replied. Maybe she didn't need to. Maybe that letter was more for me than for her. But after I sent it, I felt something I didn't expect. Peace. Because I finally understood. This story was never about betrayal. Or grief. Or even Lena. It was always about becoming the man who could survive all that. And still choose to live, to love, to forgive. We don't get to choose how people remember us. But we do get to choose what we do with the pain they leave behind. I chose to grow. I chose to love again. I chose to write back.